Welcome to 11 Recaps. Before we start, make sure you like this video and subscribe to our channel. Your support helps me keep creating content that entertain you. So, can I count on your support? Thank you for subscribing. The film begins with Terry Richmond, a former veteran, riding his bicycle along the road while listening to music. However, he is abruptly struck by police officers. Officer Evan Marston, accompanied by his partner, Officer Steve Lawn, apprehends Terry, asserting that they attempted to pull him over, but he fled the scene. Terry explains that he did not hear them due to his earphones, but the officers remain unyielding. The officers proceed to question Terry about his identity and personal details. Officer Evan searches through Terry's backpack and discovers a package. He requests Terry's consent to open it, but Terry declines. Subsequently, they detain Terry and call for AK-9 unit to inspect the package. Evan informs Terry that it will take an hour for the unit to arrive, but since Terry is pressed for time, he consents to the search. The officers uncover a substantial amount of cash in the bag, leading them to suspect it may be linked to illegal drug activities. Terry insists that the money is not drug-related, but rather his funds intended for posting his cousin's bail at the courthouse. Officer Steve notes that the cash amounts to nearly $30,000 and inquires about the charges against Terry's cousin. Terry explains that $10,000 is allocated for bail, while the remainder is meant for purchasing a truck to transport boats. He clarifies that his cousin Mike was arrested for possession of marijuana, although he was not involved in selling it. The officers decide to release Terry but retain his money, suspecting it to be drug-related. Terry defends himself by stating that he acquired the money from selling his car and invested in a stake at a restaurant named Kenlong Chinese. Evan informs Terry that the money will be held, and he can reclaim it after 30 days upon completing the necessary paperwork. Otherwise, he risks being charged with conspiracy to launder money. Reluctantly, Terry complies, and the officers allow him to leave. As the officers depart, Terry retrieves his bicycle and rides to the courthouse. There, he encounters a court clerk named Elliot and requests him to post his cousin's bail, explaining that the police have taken all of his money. Elliot declines to assist Terry due to the latter's lack of funds and informs him that the jail is undergoing renovations, necessitating the transfer of all inmates to state prison. As Elliot's shift concludes, he decides to leave, while Terry expresses his anger over his cousin's predicament. Elliot then introduces Terry to his colleague, Summer McBride, another court clerk who is on her way to becoming a lawyer, in hopes that she can provide assistance. Summer and Terry share a drink, during which Summer discloses that the local police department employs deceptive legal tactics to seize money from individuals. Once these individuals fail to reclaim their funds through legal means, the police retain the money for their own use, justifying it as funding. Terry shares that his cousin Mike has been instrumental in apprehending dangerous criminals by providing information, and he fears that if Mike is transferred to state prison, he may be targeted by other inmates. With Mike's transfer scheduled for Thursday, Summer advises Terry to quickly secure additional funds for bail to ensure Mike's safety. They part ways, and Terry contacts Mr. Liu, the owner of a Chinese restaurant, requesting a loan of $10,000. Liu consents to provide the funds within a few hours. That evening, Terry tracks down the police department responsible for his earlier detention and decides to confront them the following day. He reports a robbery to Officer Jessica Sims, describing the assailants to resemble Officer Evan and Steve. However, Officer Steve enters and interrupts the report, accusing Terry of filing a false claim. Chief Sandy Byrne, the head of the department, steps in to defend his officers and instructs Terry to leave. In response, Terry proposes that the department keep his money and simply return the bail funds. Greedily, Sandy agrees to this arrangement. Terry expresses his desire to see his cousin before the transfer, and Sandy instructs him to arrive at 9 a.m. on Thursday. On the designated day, Terry arrives at the police department, only to find that the transport bus for the prisoners has already departed, as Sandy had intentionally expedited the schedule. In a hurry, Terry races to the bus and advises his cousin to request protective custody upon arrival at the prison. Terry seeks assistance from Summer, who meets him discreetly at the back. She informs him that she has uncovered incriminating information about the police, which could lead to their arrest. Additionally, she discloses that the judge at the courthouse is also implicated. Regarding Mike's bail, Terry is urged to deliver the funds as soon as possible. Subsequently, Terry returns to the police department and confronts the chief. He issues a threat, demanding compliance, but Officer Steve intervenes, resulting in a chaotic situation. Terry manages to disarm both individuals and takes them inside. He restrains them using Officer Sim's handcuffs and escorts her to the property room, where he discovers a significant amount of weapons and cash. He retrieves his share, taking $10,000 in accordance with his original agreement, leaving the remainder for the officers. He unloads Jessica's firearm and instructs her to feign cuffing him and to drive him away discreetly to avoid confrontation with the ranchers outside. Jessica uses Steve's vehicle to drop him off at a secure location and issues a police alert for Terry. In a hurry, Terry returns to the courthouse and presents the money at Elliot's desk. Summer goes to obtain the judge's signature for the bail, but by that time, the police have surrounded the courthouse and apprehended Terry. The officers transport Terry to the courthouse catacombs for processing, where Evan takes him to meet Chief Sandy. They pick up Sandy and proceed to drive away. During the journey, Sandy reveals the full extent of the situation. He admits that he erred in getting involved with Terry after reviewing his background. They stop at a hospital, where Sandy gives Terry the remaining cash, insisting that he remain silent and act as if the incident never occurred. Otherwise, he faces the possibility of a 30-year sentence for assaulting them. Sandy informs Terry that Mike has been attacked in prison and is being transported to the hospital. Angered and emotional, Terry reluctantly accepts the deal, but Sandy cautions him never to return to the town, warning that they will take drastic measures against him if he does. Terry enters Mike's hospital room only to discover that Mike has unfortunately passed away. Seeking a ride, Terry requests Summer to take him back to his town. During their journey, they are followed by a police officer, and Summer discloses that the officer is her friend, who is looking out for her. Summer attempts to inform Terry about a series of similar incidents involving the police that need to be brought to light, but Terry, feeling frustrated, dismisses her concerns. He provides her with his contact number for emergencies and bids her farewell. Upon returning home, Summer awakens in the middle of the night to find an intruder in her house who has drugged her. She realizes the involvement of the police when she notices a police car magnet on her refrigerator. In a panic, she calls Terry, who rushes to her home. He breaks in and discovers her in the shower, unharmed. Summer explains that she is all right because the police administered a drug that she had previously used. She shares her past, revealing that she lost custody of her daughter due to her struggles with addiction. She fears that if she is tested tomorrow, she may permanently lose her parental rights. Terry reassures her and encourages Summer to go to work. However, she is taken aback when the judge requests a meeting and insists on a drug test, indicating collusion with the police. Terrified, Summer complies. After providing her urine sample, she breaks down, aware of the potential consequences. Meanwhile, Terry encounters Officer Steve, who, along with his colleagues, is blocking the streets. Terry cooperates, but Steve unexpectedly shoots him as he attempts to return to town. Injured, Terry retaliates by using a taser on Steve and escapes into the fields. He ultimately abandons his truck and makes his way to a Chinese hotel, where he contacts Summer to request burner phones. Summer arrives at the restaurant with the phones and discovers Terry injured, while Mr. Liu tends to his wounds. Together, Terry and Summer devise a plan to gather evidence against the corrupt police officers in order to hold them accountable. They adopt disguises and infiltrate the judge's residence. During their confrontation with the judge regarding police corruption, he discloses his long-standing collaboration with Sandy. Due to a lack of funding in Sandy's department, he resorted to illicitly sourcing his own funds by manipulating court procedures, forcing defendants to fight for their money, which they invariably lost. The judge benefited from this arrangement as well, with the state legitimizing it under the condition that a portion of the funds would support government initiatives. The police conducted aggressive traffic stops reminiscent of Terry's initial encounter in the film. These searches were captured on the officers' dash cams, which could serve as crucial evidence to expose their misconduct. Terry and Summer resolved to obtain these recordings, located in the courthouse's catacombs. Upon entering the courthouse, they realize the police are already on their trail. They attempt to set fire to the evidence room, but Summer intervenes to prevent the blaze. In a hurried effort, they manage to seize the memory cards and ignite the fire once more to divert attention. Terry exits to the car, waiting for Summer as she goes to collect her urine sample. Unfortunately, she is apprehended by the officers. While waiting outside, Terry witnesses the police abducting her. He follows them to a secluded location where the officers disperse. One officer remains behind, prompting Terry to ram his vehicle into the cop's car. He subdues the officer and handcuffs him for interrogation. Using his radio, Terry contacts Sandy, who proposes a trade. Summer in exchange for the memory cards. Terry consents, and Sandy instructs him to meet at Rebel Ridge at dawn. Sandy's men remain at Rebel Ridge until morning, but Terry fails to appear. During this time, Sandy receives a call from Terry, while Officer Evan believes he has found Terry's vehicle. Terry informs Sandy that there is no possibility of retreat. Simultaneously, Officer Evan discovers that Terry is not in the car. Instead, it is Officer McGill, bound to the vehicle by Terry. Terry is at the police department, where he forcibly breaches the back wall of Sandy's office. Officer Jessica notifies the other officers of Terry's whereabouts, prompting them to return. Back at the station, the avaricious Sandy hastens to seize the money, while Terry is busy loading weapons from the armory. He opts to shoot Sandy with beanbag rounds rather than live ammunition. Jessica arrives on the scene, and Terry decides to cooperate, as Jessica is the friend mentioned by Summer. He entrusts Jessica with the memory cards and instructs her to release them. Terry seizes Sandy's weapons, but Sandy's men are approaching outside. Terry gives Jessica a loaded firearm for protection and begins to stack Sandy's money to douse it in gasoline. Jessica turns against Terry, expressing her desire to avoid any gunfire, and leads him outside. Officer Steve confronts Terry and crushes the memory cards underfoot. Steve discloses that he incapacitated Summer, allowing them to shoot Terry without witnesses. Officer Evan recognizes the gravity of the situation and steps forward to defend Terry. A standoff ensues, with guns drawn on all sides, until Sandy shoots Evan in the leg and seizes his weapon. Terry glances at Jessica, who lowers her firearm, prompting him to flee with Evan. They take cover behind a car, where Terry throws smoke grenades to obscure their position. Evan advises him to activate the car's dash cams, which will begin streaming the recordings live after 3 minutes. Terry systematically neutralizes the police officers without resorting to lethal force. He encounters Steve and exacts his revenge for the earlier shooting. Terry then enters Steve's vehicle, where Summer is lying inside, and activates the dash cams. He drives towards Evan to rescue him, successfully fleeing the police station. However, Steve clings to the car, attempting to gain access to the back seat, but Summer forcefully pushes him away. On the highway, Sandy and his associates pursue them, accompanied by Jessica. In a bold move, Jessica collides with Sandy's vehicle to facilitate Terry's escape. Terry then heads to the hospital, where both Summer and Evan are admitted to the emergency department. Afterward, Terry removes the camera storage drive from the car, intending to use it to expose Sandy, marking the conclusion of the film. I trust you found this summary engaging. Please remember to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for your viewership, and we look forward to seeing you next time.